What's up, YouTube? Special shout out to subscribers here on the channel. I appreciate your support. This is week 13, the 13th entry in my weekly video update where I'm documenting or really just talking through all of the training that I'm doing, getting ready for IRONMAN Texas, coming up in 8 weeks. 8 weeks left of training. Feeling really good about where things are right now. Last week's training was, the weeks are just kind of going and going and going. I can't believe it's already time to do another update. And honestly, last week's training was a very, very strong week. I am feeling more motivated on a daily basis. I think the short amount of time left to go is really starting to build some excitement in me, feeling a little extra pep in my step, and also very, very fortunately feeling some new strength in my body that I've been building in the last 12 plus weeks of training, including a lot more strength training. And overall, I'm very thrilled with the way things are going. And this past week's training, especially the big training session yesterday, was another huge confidence booster for me. So let's dive in, take a look at last week's training. I'll talk through that, and then we'll take a quick look at the week coming up ahead. And we'll be all set for this week. All right, starting out last week, I had a wonderful, easy day on Monday last week. Honestly, I was so ready for just a long training day. I was heading to the pool. I was thinking, okay, what do we got? Probably 4,000 yards. Let's see what kind of intervals, how fast I'm going to have to swim today. And then I read the training and it said, hey, a recovery swim designed to promote blood flow throughout your body. Whew, I tell you, I really enjoyed that one. Swam very easy, changed up my strokes, did some backstroke, some breaststroke. Really just relaxed on Monday, took it very easy. You need to have some days like that every once in a while. I don't get a day like that every week, but when they do come along, I really enjoy them. That was not the case on Tuesday. Tuesday's training session was really tough. It was only 2 hours of training, but the combination of 2 by 20 minute in my zone 4 power on the bike, and then getting off the bike and running basically an interval run with 4 by 1 mile at half marathon effort. This was 2 really challenging workouts back to back, and I was able to get it done feeling, I surprised myself, feeling pretty darn good. Averaged 268 watts of power for the hour on that ride, which was definitely a lot higher than the usual average power for an hour that I'm getting. And I think that I was able to increase my effort. So the first 20-minute set, I averaged 303 watts, which is low zone 4 for me. The second one was at 307, a little bit higher, with my FTP sitting around 319, getting these efforts in the low 300s, back to back, 2 by 20 minutes. I felt pretty good about that. Heart rate responded pretty well. My heart rate was up, elevated as you'd probably expect. And then onto the run, 4 by 1 mile at half marathon pace. This ended up being a 7-mile run off the bike, and it was a success. I was able to run all 4 of the interval miles at a very good pace, looking at like 6:53 per mile on those intervals, and boom, boom. 2 hours training on Tuesday. Very, very good session. On Wednesday, I went and swam some 125s, very familiar with this workout, 3,000 yards in the pool, feeling pretty good, and overall nothing to really report about that swim other than I got it done and it felt good. And then I had our group strength session at the gym on Wednesday, went to Powerhouse and knocked that out with the gang. Good training session. On to the next day. I actually had to swap my Thursday and Friday last week. I had to go to the VA for a doctor's appointment. Got home from that, banged out a nice and easy run, just about 6 miles, trying to keep it nice and relaxed, basically extra relaxed on this day because I had a hard run on Tuesday and I knew I had another challenging run the next day, so wanted to make sure I took that nice and easy. I think I ended up around... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I ended up around 807 per mile on that one, nice and relaxed. And I did another strength session with my personal strength trainer. I've been working with her for about 7 weeks now, and that was another good strength session. On to Friday, I had a easy ride, hour 15-minute, nice and easy on the trainer here indoors. And then I went and had a very challenging run. It says here, run at half marathon pace to marathon pace. That's very different than most of my runs off the bike. Sometimes there's some intervals in there, but most of the time it's run easy off the bike. This was not easy. I managed an average pace of 7:06 per mile for about 1 hour. And this was probably one of the most efficient runs I've ever done in my life. I just, in terms of what my heart rate looked like versus the pacing I was running. Now, granted, it was like 36 degrees outside, and obviously that has a huge impact, but I really didn't know what to expect getting off my bike and just trying to jump straight into half marathon pace, which is faster than the pace I was targeting last time I raced a half Ironman. So I want to stress, I'm not used to running at this fast of a pace off my bike. Wasn't sure how it was going to go, and really, really surprised myself on this run. Just smashed it, floating right in that pace zone where I needed to be. Heart rate below my zone 2. I wish all runs could feel as amazing as that one did. So that was a great training session on Friday as well. On to Saturday, 45-minute easy run, nice and slow for me. Just again, I really need to I can't have every run be, all right, let's see how fast I can go, right? That's just kind of a recipe for disaster. I've been training for triathlon for 12 years, and I've been trying to take it easy for 12 years. And sometimes I think that even on my easy days, I'm working too hard. So I do have that in mind. I ran this one about 9:12 per mile. Average heart rate was 128. And, all I can really say, I can compare that to my normal run and say, yes, that was about a minute slower per mile than my normal runs. And the heart rate was about 20 to 30 BPM lower. So I am doing my best to take my easy days easy. And I think Saturday's run is a good example, a snapshot of me really, holding back, taking it easy. And somehow these easy runs can be more difficult mentally than a normal paced run. So, definitely a bit of a weird thing that happens with the mentality sometimes with training. After that run, I went and had a nice yoga session. Definitely got some good stretching in. On to yesterday's big training day. I consider anything over 3.5 hours to be a big training day. And the workout on Sunday was a 3-hour ride, calling for low zone 3, nice and steady. And I really took this as an opportunity to get out and just try to ride at a wattage, a target wattage that I feel like might be a good pace for race day. And I've done some experimenting with my longer rides. I've averaged about 210 watts. I've averaged about 215 watts on some of my longer rides. And I was kind of wondering if maybe this was selling myself short a little bit. So for this 3-hour ride, I made it a goal to set out and try to shoot for above 220 watts, see how my heart rate responded, see if I felt like I needed to take in more calories at that effort. And then also a really big factor was going to be, I had a 10K transition run off the bike. So see how I feel on that 6-mile run, having rode at a higher power output average. So I think the experiment went pretty well. The perceived effort was, it's strange, the perceived effort between 210 watts and 224, which is what I averaged on Sunday, that difference in effort level is really, it feels like a lot more than 14 watts. Like, I can handle that 220 plus watt, but I have to be more on top of it mentally. I have to be more focused. Basically never letting my guard down, because as soon as I do, my numbers will start to drift down lower towards 200 if I just start to kind of mindlessly cycle. Anyway, it's always challenging to do these longer rides on the trainer, so I ended up with 2 hours and 42 minutes of actual ride time, had some bathroom breaks. I kind of add that all up into the 3 hours. And comparatively, when you're on the road, I mean, you're stopping at stop signs, you're stopping at traffic, there's all sorts of things that slow you down on the road that you don't have to deal with on the trainer. So I have no qualms at all about, not getting exactly 3 hours of ride time. That took me 3.5 hours to ride 2 hours and 42 minutes. So go figure. Average power again at 224. Average heart rate was just below my zone 2. And to get that kind of a heart rate indoors on the trainer, I'm very happy with. My heart rate is a lot lower typically out on the road. I think that's pretty common for a lot of athletes in similar training cycles because that wind cooling effect that you get outside is huge. I mean, just the wind blowing over your body really helps keep you nice and cool. So high zone 1 heart rate, high zone 2 power, averaging on the bike, felt pretty good, and then I really felt great on my run. I felt fantastic. Averaged 7:45 per mile for 6.2. Heart rate was nice and low. Low zone 2 heart rate for me, 152. And again, this was a huge confidence building day for me. I mean, I was able to handle the 225 watts for about 3 hours. It didn't feel too demanding. And then to get off and run like I did was also, it really is building a lot of confidence that I can handle these paces. And if I am able to execute these paces on race day, I'm looking at a huge PR, to be frank. So definitely a good place to be, and happy with how the training went yesterday. Now, that being said, I definitely was feeling a little beat up and banged up last night. Legs were really kind of getting a little bit sore. I mean, obviously I've been running 3 or 4 days in a row at this point. Looking at today's training, God, today was a lot. I was really tired. Today's training was really tough. It was one of these kind of mini triathlon days where I had a swim and a bike and a run all on the same day. And starting out this morning was a 5,000 yard swim. It took me an hour and 30 minutes to swim, about 5,300 yards. This is one of the longest swims I've ever done in my life. I think I've only swam longer one time. And I'll tell you what, that final 1,000 for time was pretty fast for me. I mean, I swam the double 1,000 last week, and I think my first set of 1,000 on that one was like 17 and a half minutes. Then I swam about 16 and a half minutes on the second one. Today I swam 1,000 yards in, I believe it was like 15:30. I think I dropped a minute off of my time from the last one. Where is it? 15:29. So about a minute faster for that 1,000 than the one I swam last week. And that's after swimming 4,200 yards. So I really worked hard in the pool this morning, and I was feeling pretty fatigued when I set out on this hour, 10-minute ride. I went out on the road and did this ride. I've been spending a lot of time on the trainer, and the sun came out, so got outdoors and did some loops at the park. It was a little hard, honestly, just feeling fatigued on the bike. I took it really easy, and my average heart rate was less than 120, so it was a really easy recovery type ride. But I just think I was feeling the fatigue from yesterday's training, plus the big swim in the morning. Just kind of hard to just have that sort of excitement in the motion of the body. My body just felt like kind of going through the motions, just kind of pedaling a little bit slower than usual. I'm not even sure what my power output was. I don't look at power on days when I take it super easy. So, and then off that bike, I had another run today. This is like the 5th day in a row of running. And I'm not going to lie, the first half mile of this run, it felt like a bust. I felt gutted. Like my stride was off, my cadence was super low. I was cramping on my left side, and in my inner thigh on my right leg has been bothering me since yesterday. After I finished up my training yesterday, it was kind of sore. That first half mile was definitely one of those gut check moments where I didn't quite want to give up, but it felt I had to convince myself that it wasn't going to be suffering. I'm like, look, this is 30 minutes. Yes, this first few minutes is sucking really hard. But I just had like a little bit of quiet faith that I would loosen up and that I would start to feel a little bit better. And fortunately, that is exactly what happened. I was able to increase the cadence, increase the pace a little bit, ended up finishing feeling a lot better than I did in the beginning. But mostly I think I was just glad for the day to be done. I mean, that's a long day of training, and it takes all day for me to get this type of training done. I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I don't have a 9 to 5 type job that I'm trying to fit this all around, because I mean, let's be real here. I mean, I started swimming around 8. I was done around 9:45. Went and ran some errands, went to the grocery store, went and picked something up, came home, ate some food, got my bike ready, got out on the bike. By the time I was done with the bike ride, it was like 2 o'clock. And now it's time to run at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Got done, ate more, showered, and then sat down here in front of the camera. It is just like nonstop, especially coming off a day like yesterday where, similar to today, I mean, I started training yesterday at like 8:15 in the morning and I wasn't done until like 2. So these days are getting pretty long, man. Well, all's well that ends well, and today was a really good test of, getting in some, good recovery efforts on a very fatigued body. So looking ahead to tomorrow, I've got a hour, 15-minute easy ride, zone 2, just like today. And then I have another one of these sort of spicy brick runs, 30 minute at marathon pace, 30 minute at half marathon pace. So that might end up being another 7.5, 8 miles off the bike tomorrow. It will be, I think, the 6th day in a row of running. And I am just like fingers crossed that my legs will feel better than they do today, because whoo, I tell you, the run was tough today. 30-minute easy run was really tough today. So we'll see how tomorrow's run goes. On Wednesday, I have another hour 30 in the pool, which is interesting. I'm swimming 3 times this week. That should be cool. And then I'll also have the group strength class. On Thursday, another swim. So 2 days without running. Woohoo! Get a little bit of a break. No biking or running for 2 days in a row. Just swimming and strength training. That'll be a nice change this week. I think my coach is doing a really good job of keeping me from feeling like, it's the same thing week in, week out. I really got to give him some credit, because it's keeping me on my toes. It's keeping me fatigued and engaged. And I love the idea of having 2 days this week back to back where I'm just swimming and strength training. That sounds great. On to Friday, another 1 hour, 15-minute easy ride, a 45-minute run at easy pace. Sounds good. Saturday, long run. Woof, hour 45-minute with 4x1 mile at half marathon pace, which honestly I'm running at this half marathon effort like 2 to 3 times a week now. It's not as scary as it was a few weeks ago when my coach first started dropping it in there. I am optimistic that Saturday's long run will be a success, and hopefully I can be feeling good at the end of that run. I always like to gauge my long run on how I feel in the last 15, 20 minutes or so. That really says a lot. And Sunday's brick run and ride, brick ride, and brick, it's brick workout. It's a brick workout. It's a bike run workout as usual on Sunday. However, only 2 hours and 20 minutes? Only 2 hours and 20 minutes? You get to a point when you're doing this type of Ironman training where a 2 hour and 20-minute ride just sounds so easy and nice. And I'm definitely in that place right now where that just sounds wonderful. And then the run off the bike is another 10K, easy for distance. Woo! That's a lot to talk about. When I set out to start making these videos, I wasn't sure how long they were going to be, like week by week. I wasn't really sure, was this going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Some of these videos are like 20 minutes long. I don't know if this one's 20 minutes long, but I figure I'm here. I'm here to talk about it. I'm here to share the details. So I really am trying to, basically get all my thoughts down and talk through these training sessions as they come. So no editing. No pre-planning, really just a very basic vlog type process here. So I appreciate you tuning in, especially if you've been checking these out week after week. I really appreciate that continued support. As usual, if you have anything to say about any of this content that I'm making here, any of the training that I'm doing, please go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd love to read it. I'd love to respond to it. And I will see y'all again next week on Monday with another update. And then there will be only 7 weeks to go. This race is coming up and I am here for it. Thank you. I'll see you next time.